Gananam tva ganapatim havamahe kavim kavinamupamashya vastamam Shashtarajam brahmanam brahmanaspata anah shrunvannotibhisi dasadanam Om Shri Mahaganadhipataye Namah Om Vrishabham Charshaninam Vishwarupamadabhyam Brahaspatim Varenyam Om Tadvishno Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayah Divi Vajakshuratatam Om Shlim Bhlim Jyotirbrahmaya Namaha Om Hare Ramakrishna Hare Ramakrishna Hare Ramakrishna.
I have a small, it's a feminine thing.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, you can ask your question. After that we'll see a chart.
Somebody called me when I was driving 2 days back.
Okay.
It was, I noted the time, it was 10:07. She is currently having hand pains and all that, and she
hand pains?
Hand, shoulder nunchi pain adanతా వస్తూ suddenly
some nervous problem?
Some nervous kind of problem. But she had some physiotherapy, she is better now.
Okay.
But her question was, will I become normal and will I be better?
Okay.
So I was just driving on the way, so I went home and then I put it as 10:799.
Her data or Prashna?
Just Prashna.
Okay. You don't have her data?
Her data I don't have.
Okay. What is the data of the Prashna? September 9? September 9, 2009. What time? 10?
10:07, Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
10:07 a.m.?
AM.
10:07 a.m.
Portsmouth, NH.
Portsmouth. Portsmouth, Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
So the question is, she wanted to know, will my hands and shoulder pain reduce and will I become normal, and will you tell me my longevity? I said
longevity.
But I will tell you about the...
Basically, Prashna should be one consistent, one thing basically.
One question.
So let's take it on the hand. Take it about the hand. Longevity will be... Moreover, longevity from Prashna will be a little difficult. Even if it's asked as a standalone Prashna, but here she mixed with something else.
No, she didn't ask that. She asked me that subsequently.
Okay.
But the question was, will my pains and all that reduce and will I be normal? So I want to just conclude in 2 minutes.
Okay. So what did you find?
I told her.
So once again, the data is September 9, 2009, 10:07 a.m., 4 hours west of GMT, that is EDT. The place is Portsmouth, New Hampshire, 70 degrees, 45 minutes, 47 seconds west, 43 degrees, 4 minutes, 18 seconds north. And the Lagna is 6 degrees, 41 minutes, 42 minutes Libra, and Moon is 21 degrees, 24 minutes Aries. Okay.
So what I noticed is...
Yeah.
మీకు ఎంత వచ్చింది లగ్నం
6 degree 42 minutes 6 Libra 6 Libra 41 48 70. Jagannatha Hora, sir.
I am getting different than what I had.
What are you getting?
Because I had why would Mars be in Lagna? Would there have been a possibility that second Lord Mars would have been in Lagna? Not on this date.
Second Lord Mars in Lagna, no.
That cannot happen.
Mars is in Gemini.
Mars is in Gemini, that cannot happen.
Yeah.
I did not know. Then my interpretation is totally wrong, because I told her in general with...
okay.
No, I can't repeat that because my replacements are all totally missed.
That's okay. So something went wrong.
So I was more concerned with second Lord and seventh Lord in Lagna, was the Mars in Lagna. I was concerned with that because at this time, first thing I noticed is the Jupiter is in 4th house, and so kind of Jupiter being in quadrant, I felt is a good thing, either in quadrant or aspect on Lagna or in trine.
First, let us see if we should proceed with the Prashna. Okay, Libra Lagna.
That is why I was taking Jupiter further.
Right.
Being quadrant, I said I am comfortable.
More than being quadrant, he is just aspecting Lagna Lord. So if Jupiter is aspecting Lagna, Lagna Lord, that is good. So Jupiter has an aspect on Lagna Lord, that too pretty close. Venus is at 24 degrees Cancer and Jupiter is at 25 degrees Cancer, right?
Venus 22, Jupiter 24.
Right. Capricorn. So he is aspecting nearly closely, nearly perfect aspect. So because Jupiter has an aspect on the Lagna Lord, we say this is a genuine prashna. Basically that is answer in the prashna. We may try to get the answer. Very good. Now the prashna is relating to what? What is the prashna relating to?
Shoulder, hand pain, all reduce and will still be normal.
Right. So how is the Rashi chart? Basically, do we see indications of what kind of prashna it is? Basically, 6th Lord is aspecting Venus. Venus is with Ketu and the 6th Lord is aspecting him. So basically it may have to do with some disease, etc. Right? Now
Nothing went wrong in my thing. Okay, this is
what?
because for future to tell her I was going to take the D3.
Right.
So D3 is the one that has Mars in the so
Oh, I see. You are confused.
I
Okay.
was
Yeah.
confused with the way because
Okay.
that was
Now it makes sense because with Gemini Mars, it can't be 2nd Lord in Lagna at all. Right. Okay. So if you see Navamsa, to see the background of this, how is Navamsa working out? In the Navamsa, basically, Lagna Lord Jupiter is in the 9th house. Right? Lagna Lord Jupiter is in the 9th house and he is aspected by Mars and also Rahu and Ketu.
So being afflicted by Rahu Ketu would give her some
Rahu and Ketu affliction can give some problems, but the thing is, why does she have a problem at all? What in the Navamsa is showing that?
because 12th Lord Mars is with
Mars is 12th Lord, but he is also 5th Lord.
is of 5th Lord.
So why is there a problem at all?
We are looking at current position from the 9th.
Venus, 6th Lord.
What are the influences on Lagna? Lagna Lord is in 9th house, that is fine.
Lord, the Saturn is
He is, for me, yeah.
Saturn is in Lagna.
And
One weak point.
right, and that's one weak point. And who else have influence on Lagna? Does anybody aspect it? Jupiter, of course, aspects. Are there any Argadas on Lagna? Who have Argada on Lagna? Venus, the 6th Lord and 8th Lord both have Argada on Lagna. Right? Venus has Argada on Lagna in Navamsa as well as Moon, the 8th Lord. So both the 8th Lord as well as 6th Lord do have an Argada. And so the thing is, there is some possibility of some health problem. And moreover, Lagna Lord Jupiter, even though he is in the 9th house, he is basically with Rahu Ketu. And the thing is, whether he is actually in the 9th house or not sure. One second.
Do we apply Bhava in this case?
I do.
Okay.
So
And when
it seems like he is fine. Basically, he is in the Jupiter seems to be in the 9th house only. So Jupiter is in the 9th house. So nothing disastrous, but there are some bad indications. And in the Rashi, this is the background. So basically, there is no serious background behind this. It's not like in the past, basically, for last 1 year, a lot of suffering. It's not cloning, basically. Navamsa is basically fine. There are some negative indications. But if you look at the Rashi, whereas if Navamsa was terrible, you could say this was a long-term thing, basically. Whether she knew about it or not, this was something that accumulated over a long period of time. If you see the Rashi chart, how is Rashi? The first weakness of Rashi is, what is the first weakness of Rashi? Or tell me one weakness of Rashi chart. Do you expect health problems based on this? Like we said, 6th Lord is aspecting Venus, right? Lagna Lord Venus is being aspected by an enemy, 6th Lord.
Lord here.
Hmm?
And
He is 8th Lord, but the thing is, let us look at him as Lagna Lord now. So Lagna Lord is being afflicted by 6th Lord. And what else? What else is happening?
And we are again on the Rahu Ketu axis.
Who are, yes, Rahu Ketu axis. So Rahu Ketu, on Rahu Ketu axis, Venus is being, Lagna Lord is being restricted by 6th Lord. That is one thing. Who is in Lagna? What are the influences on Lagna?
Sun, Saturn,
Sun,
two enemies.
Sun, Saturn. Why Saturn?
Saturn aspects,
Aspects what?
Saturn from 11th house is aspecting Lagna, right?
Yeah. Right, but the thing is, he is actually,
More than that, the Lagna Lord is on
Saturn is basically, if you use the, he is on the cusp of Leo and Virgo. He is basically, using Jagannatha Hora, he is already in Virgo. He is basically just entered Virgo. Using Lahiri, probably he is at the end of Leo. But the bottom line is, he is at around 0 degrees Virgo. And Lagna is 6 degrees Libra. So his aspect is not really that perfect. Basically his aspect on the end point of Libra will be perfect. So this is like 24 degrees ahead of that. So he is actually closer to, from Saturn if you reckon the houses, Lagna is basically in the 2nd house rather than in the 3rd house. So his aspect, if you actually, you can quantify. Parasara basically said based on the degrees, he gave a way to evaluate the aspect. Here, on the end point of Libra, the aspect will be 100%. And at 6 degrees, I am not sure what it is, but it will be very small. It will not be even 3/4 or half. It will be like 20% kind of aspect. So it's not really a strong aspect of Saturn and Lagna, right? And Sun is in the 11th house from Lagna. So he has 11th house Argala. Sun has a 11th house Argala. Is it a good Argala or bad Argala? He is Badhaka Lord. Badhaka Lord having Argala and Lagna. Now the other, and Badhaka Lord in Badhaka Sthana. Very powerful. Second thing, who else has Argala and Lagna? Jupiter. Rahu doesn't, but Jupiter and Ketu. Ketu is Maraka. He is not particularly bad, but not particularly good. And Jupiter is 6th Lord. Right? So 6th Lord has Argala. So 6th Lord and 3rd Lord has Argala. By the 3rd is Am. 6th Lord and 3rd Lord Jupiter has Argala. Badhaka Lord and Badhaka placed Sun has Argala. So basically 6th and 8th house doesn't have an influence, but 8th Lord is also Venus. But 8th house is not getting involved, but the Badhaka Sthana and 6th house are getting involved with Lagna in a decisive way. Sun can show bones, but the thing is, from what he's saying, it doesn't sound like a bone problem. It's basically a nervous problem. Why it's a nervous problem, we'll see. We'll see in a moment. Now, what else is going on? Who else? Are there any aspects on Lagna? Moon has an aspect, but it's very small. Relatively, Mars has an half aspect, and he is basically how far apart? He is basically like 8 degrees apart, 641 to 15, 17. So 8 degrees away. So it's basically, it's not very close, but it's within the orb.
Fourth aspect.
This is half aspect. Half aspect reduced by something like 70%. So it will be like 40% aspect or something if you actually quantify. So Mars has a reasonable aspect. So there is some Martian aspect, and Mars is he is a Maraka. So there is a Maraka's aspect is there, and another Maraka has Argala, 6th Lord has Argala, and Badhaka Lord has Argala. So there are some negative influences. Moreover, who is in Lagna? Is anybody in Lagna? Gurika is in Lagna. Yeah. So there is some distance. There is around 10 degrees distance, but basically he is in Lagna. He is in the 1st house. Gurika is in the 1st house. So Gurika, there is a problem with Gurika. So that is the other thing basically. So there is this influence of Gurika, influence of 6th house, influence of Marka, and influence of Badhaka. So all this, and moreover 6th Lord is also affecting Lagna Lord. So if you compare with Navamsha, Rasi has more negative indications, right? Now why is it a nervous problem? Why is there a problem relating to nerves? Do you have any theory? Venus is not nerves. What does Venus show? Who shows nerves problems? Why?
Because of Vayu? No.
Who shows the tissue, nerve tissue? We have like blood tissue is moon, like that, right? Fat tissue is Jupiter. Who shows the nerve tissue? Majja.
Mars.
Hmm?
Mars.
Yeah, be confident in what you say. You are absolutely right. Mars shows the nerve tissue. Now, why is there a problem with why is there a nervous problem? Do you see any indication of nervous problems? Hmm?
Because he is second and seventh.
Well, he's second and seventh lord, but why? He's not showing sickness in this chart, right? Or does he? Why is Mars indicating the sickness? That is what I am asking. Why is Mars indicating the sickness in this chart?
Is he a dispositor of UL?
For me?
UL is being UL dispositor?
He is not the dispositor of UL, he is placed in UL.
He is,
And UL doesn't really show sickness.
UL is Mercury.
Yeah.
He is
He is the dispositor of some Arudha. Please go ahead. Find it.
A.
Huh?
Who?
8 is in
A6.
Virgo.
He is a dispositor of A6.
Yes. He is the dispositor of A6. Basically, the Rogapada, which shows the tangible manifestation of the disease in the person, is in, it is basically in the second house, Margasthana, and its lord is Mars. So, Mars is the Rogasthana, Rogapada lord. So, the tangible manifestation of the disease may have, it may be related to Pitta, it may be relating to nerves, etc. There may be Mars influence. That's the only thing that we can think of. Is there anything else you can think of? Is there anything else you can think of? Okay.
Do you think something else?
Jupiter,
Hmm?
because of Jupiter, he is being sixth lord aspecting Lagna.
Jupiter what?
Jupiter being a sixth lord
Yeah.
aspecting Lagna can give some.
Jupiter is not aspecting Lagna, having Agra on Lagna, right?
Can give some sort of troubles.
Right, but why is it relating to nerve tissue? Jupiter doesn't really show nerve tissue, right? See, another thing you can do is actually to see how is the blood, how is the fat, how is the nerve, etc. You can actually take these planets, take that planet as Lagna, Mars as Lagna for nerve, Moon as Lagna for blood, etc. and see if there is any major bad affliction like any Duryoga.
Okay.
If you see a Duryoga, that tissue may have some vulnerability. So like that, if you see here, if you see the nerve tissue, Mars as Lagna, are there any bad indications? If you take Mars as Lagna, the Jupiter-Rahu combination falls in the 8th house. The combination of Jupiter and Rahu that we talked about, basically a debilitated Jupiter, that too 7th lord in the 8th house. See, it's a Marga combination, 7th lord in the 8th house. And he is actually in the 8th house from Mars. Because Mars is at 15 degrees, right? Mars is at 15 degrees and Jupiter is at 24 degrees. So Jupiter is actually in the 8th house from Mars. So the thing is, 7th lord is in the 8th house. In general, 7th lord in the 8th house, is it good or bad? It's terrible. It's a Marka combination. So a Marka combination is occurring relating with respect to Mars. So there can be some problems in the part of the body shown by Mars, which is basically the nerve tissue. That is one thing. And also, of course, you can see that Lagna Lord is with the 8th Lord. But the 8th Lord, Lagna Lord Mercury, is with the 8th Lord Saturn. Of course, Saturn is also the 9th Lord, but the thing is 8th is so powerful, so he may act more like 8th Lord. So 8th Lord, Lagna Lord combination, that Duryoga is there, and 8th house has a Marka combination, 7th Lord in the 8th. So from that point of view, there is a problem in the nerve tissue. Okay? Now, let us go to the Drekana to see how the future is. How the future is. So, in the Drekana, what's going on?
Mars is the one who gave.
The one Yeah.
trouble is in
The
Lagna.
one who is giving trouble actually, who shows the part of tissue of the body which is in trouble, he is in Lagna. And now, how is Lagna Lord? Lagna Lord is in 6th house in Malakarka Sthana. Is it a good indication for recovering from problems? Lagna Lord, that to a benefit in 6th house. Lagna Lord in 6th is not good for recovery from disease. And that too being a benefit is not good for disease. He is being aspected by Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn is okay, he is Yokarka here, but the thing is, from where? Jupiter is 6th Lord, right. Saturn is fine, Yokarka, but unfortunately he is also Rogakarka. He is Yokarka, but also along with Yokarka he is Rogkarka. Saturn, he is the giver of diseases. So Rogakarka and Rogasthanadipati, Lord of the Rogasthana, Jupiter, both are together aspecting Venus, who's in Malakarka Sthana in Rogasthana. So is that good? Not really.
Who is aspecting Venus? Is it you?
Saturn and Jupiter.
Saturn and Jupiter.
Saturn is in Virgo if you use Jagannatha Hora. You are probably getting in Aries. Right.
Use the bhava, will Venus be in the same 6th house?
I'm not sure. We'll see.
What is the, should we set this in general to Jagannatha Hora?
I recommend, yes. It makes a difference in some previous charts. I recommend Jagannatha Hora. 733 you need. 32 also may have it, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay. Yeah, if you use the longitude in the bhava, in the divisional chart, Venus is actually not in the 6th house, but is in the 5th house. Okay, that's a good point. Now, Saturn and Jupiter do continue to have a close aspect on him. So there is a close aspect of Saturn and Jupiter on Venus. So that is a negative factor. Now what else is going on? Who's in Lagna and who's aspecting Lagna? Lagna contains Mars. Lagna contains Mars. Aspected by the Badaka Lord. So Maraka Lord Mars is in Lagna and Badaka Lord Sun is in 7th house. Now another thing is
What did you get? Saturn is very Saturn in your case?
Virgo. Because he has just moved into Virgo.
By using Lahiri Avansa, we
You get in Aries.
in the 12th house.
Yeah, you get Saturn in Aries. Yeah. In the last decana of Leo. Okay. So what else? What else is going on? How is A6?
Jupiter, that's what I was.
And also Mars is a Marka in this case. He is both second.
Yeah. So his placement in the Lagna is not really good.
Not really good.
Yeah. And the fact that Badaka Lord is in Marakasthana is also not good. Sun, the Badaka Lord, is in Marakasthana and he is exalted. Exalted Badaka Lord is never a good feature. And the thing is, the two planets, Sun and Mars, are they are basically Pitta planets. They show increased Pitta. So lot of fire in the nervous system basically. Nervous system being consumed by a lot of fire. So in general, Pitta and Vata are not good for nervous problems. Usually people who have nervous problems, they tend to either have Pitta or Vata. Nervous system is simply there is some fluid in the nerves are like electric wires, except that there is some fluid which actually conducts the electricity. So that fluid basically, if there is a lot of Vata, what happens is that fluid dries up. So because of that, there are problems with the conductance of the electricity through that. Whereas if it is Pitta, if there is a problem with Pitta, that means those nerves basically, there is no problem with the fluid inside, but it's too tense. The nerves, if you imagine them as electric wires, they are basically too tense. So the thing is, there can be a lot of electricity flowing through them and you may not be able to withstand it. So either way, a Pitta person and a Kapha person, basically a Pitta person and a Vata person will have to be careful with nervous problems. If there are any indications of nervous problems, they have to be careful. And here both Sun and Mars. So it seems like a case of nervous problems due to increased Pitta rather than increased Vata. Basically, which herbs to use are different based on the, if you are using Ayurveda, if it is basically a Vata problem, if there is too much Vata in the system, then Jatamamsi, Valerian, that kind of, Valerian in Western, but in Hindu, in the Ayurveda, we use Jatamamsi. There are some herbs. Jatamamsi especially is good for Vata. Jatamamsi, Ashwagandha, Bhrangaraj, this kind of things are given to decrease the Vata. Whereas if it is Pitta, excess Pitta in the nervous system, Shankhapushpi, there is a herb called Shankhapushpi which is very good. Shankhapushpi, Brahmi, Bhrangaraj, this kind of herbs will be recommended. So,
That is for Pitta problems.
yeah, Pitta related nervous problems. And here it seems very likely based on Rasi as well as based on the, because Sun and Mars are problem in both charts. So, it's basically a Pitta case. So, Shankhapushpi will be helpful. But the thing is, my gut feeling is looking at this chart, it's basically, there aren't too many redeeming factors which tell you this will get better. So, the problem may linger on for some more time because of Sun and Mars axis on the Lagna, and Lagna Lord not being really that strong, the problem may linger on. But the who is the hope? Lagna Lord Venus, who is exalted, and he is in the 5th house, even though in the 6th sign. He is the hope. He is the only one actually who is showing some improvement. So if he can resist the aspect of Jupiter and Saturn,
In 22, right? How is in 5th house?
D3.
actually if I look at the longitudes in D3,
D3.
yeah. So Venus can give hope. Moreover, in the Rasi chart, he is the Lagna Lord, and he is basically the controller of the overall well-being of the person. So for Venus, who is the Devata? Lakshmi. So
I actually asked her to propitiate Lakshmi and
you gave the
Hanuman.
perfect suggestion. Also
Hanuman.
good. Mars.
And do Hanuman Chalisa every Tuesday.
Okay. So Mars, Hanuman is fine and Lakshmi is fine. So those two remedies will be helpful. But the thing is, the indications are not very positive. So this may be a more long-term problem. It may, even if it seems like it has gone away, it may come back. So it doesn't seem like there is a perfect cure.
So will some Ayurvedic things like this can be suggested?
Yes. The thing is, how to take? The thing is, Shankhapushpi, it is available. Just Shankhapushpi, actually, Shankhapushpi is the key. But the thing is, Shankhapushpi is not taken in spoons. It is basically a very powerful herb. So little bit basically, like 1/8 of a spoon. That kind of quantity will be appropriate. 1/8 of a spoon of Shankhapushpi. Basically heat it in milk, boil it in milk, and maybe a pinch of Brahmi also.
Brahmi into the liquid or the
Not Brahmi,
It's not liquid. Brahmi is also a powder. It's basically a green looking powder. Shankhapushpi is also greenish only. So Shankhapushpi and Brahmi powders, pinch of Brahmi, maybe again 1/16 of a spoon or something like that, and Shankhapushpi between 1/4 and 1/8 of a spoon. And in hot milk, if she takes basically before eating anything in the morning, because that is when the absorption will be the maximum. If you take it at the beginning of the day, when you haven't eaten anything, your body will absorb it fully. Otherwise, later, body may be clogged with various food you ate, so absorption will be very low. So best will be in the morning. So if she takes with milk, not just like a spoon of milk, a small cup of milk, so that the powder is less and there is more milk. So if she heats it and then makes it really boil and then cool it down a little bit and then drink it, over a period of time, if she does it for a few weeks, can basically soothe her nervous system. Her nervous system is basically too tense, so it needs to be soothed.
Is second lord Mars being in second and 7th lord being a Marka here in Lagna, is that a problem? Because she's like 80, 82. So
Yeah,
will
that's
that
a
be
problem, but
a
I don't think
problem?
we.
From here.
Let's not go. Let's not try to judge the longevity based on this.
You have to see the native chart.
Yeah, it will be a good idea if you want to see. It's not a good combination basically for recovery from a problem, but whether it will be fatal or not, it's not really ideal to judge it based on the prasna. And in general, if there are any nervous problems in the shoulder or hand can suffer. There can be pain in the arm, pain in the hand, pain in the elbow, I mean, the worst case, not God forbid, but in the worst case there can be paralysis, but death usually doesn't occur from it. So the thing is, the second part of the prashna on longevity is totally disjointed from this prashna, so let's not even answer it. And it will be a good idea to have the actual natal chart and answer it.
And just a side question off of this, if there is a second question on this, do we take the lagna to be from Jupiter for the Rasi?
Yeah, that is what some people do.
Then in that case, the correspondingly, of course, if we adjust the D3, D9.
Right. Some people take moon, lagna for first prashna, moon for second prashna, sun for third prashna, like that. There are different approaches. Bottom line is, like I said earlier, prashna there is some arbitrariness in prashna. There are different methods that people use for prashna. Like we did Rashi Navamsa, recognize one approach. There are so many different approaches. And if you read Prasmarga has its own approach. Like that, everybody has their own approach. So you basically pick one approach, and as you basically dedicate yourself to one approach and say, this is how I'll see, I'll look for answers to the questions. Please help me, God. If God wants to help you, He will basically show you answers through that scheme. It's basically God trying to help you. So prashna is more an issue of faith and sticking to something, rather than anybody. Basically you give a rule and anybody will basically follow that rule. With the natal chart, if you give a rule in the Tithi Pravesh, if the 7th Lord and Lagna Lord are together and they are strong, and one of them is linked with the Hora Lord, one of the Dashas may give marriage, or at least that year there will be marriage, there is a good chance that the actual charts which will exhibit that behavior will be significantly more than the random probability, right? Because there is some science, it is not arbitrary, there is some science involved. It is more scientific, whereas prashna is less scientific. So if you say a rule, and if anybody basically who doesn't have a faith in it, he just wants to try it, he tries it, it may or may not work. So prashna is less scientific than natal chart. So what I suggest is, pick your whatever rules you want to follow, pick some rules, stick to them.
Sure. I'm done. So it's more than.
And some people basically ask for a number, right? Like Krishnamurti. You could have asked her. Like if you go to miscellany here, there is a prashna horary mode, right? So there is a 108 and 249 and Nadi prashna mode, right?
Right, 108.
Go to the miscellany tab and prashna in brackets horary tab. There are 3 buttons: prashna 108 mode, prashna 249 mode, Nadi prashna mode. In prashna 108 mode, what you are doing is you are basically fixing the Rashi and Navamsa. There are 108 Navamsas, right? 12 times 9. So you ask them for a number. Suppose he says 67. You enter 67 here, then what it will do is, it will basically show P lug. You see in all the divisional charts, you see P lug now, which is basically prashna lagna. I put 67 just as some number. You can ask the person when they make the prashna, you can ask. So you say 67, let's say, that is Scorpio in Rashi, right? In Drakana it is Pisces. Like that you can see in D30, D6. What it will do is, it will take in that particular Navamsa. What is the 67th Navamsa? Is basically 60 plus, 9 Navamsas in each Rashi, right? So 67 is basically 7 nines plus 4. So 7 Rashis are passed, Aries to Libra, right? So between Aries and Libra, you have 9 times 7, 63 Navamsas. Aries to Libra, including Aries, inclusive. It is 7 Rashis. So 7 times 9, 63 Navamsas. So plus 4. So it is the 4th Navamsa in Scorpio. What is the first Navamsa in Scorpio? Vishakha 4th. Right? So Vishakha 4th, Anuradha 1, Anuradha 2, Anuradha 3rd. So it will take basically Anuradha 3rd Padam. That is why if you make the Navamsa chart, it will be in Libra. Right? So it will take exactly the middle of that Navamsa. Whichever Navamsa you pick, it will take the exact middle longitude of the Navamsa, and it will fix the prashna lagna longitude based on that, and then it will give, for that point it will find all the divisional charts. That is what 108 prashna is. And similarly KP always use this 249 mode. So if you ask 10 prashnas, he will not say from lagna, from moon, from Jupiter, like that. He will ask a prashna. He will ask a number for each prashna. Suppose you say, when will I get married? Okay, give me the number 127. And when will I get a son? Okay, give me another number 201. So you may basically take the 2 numbers and make a lagna based on it, the prashna lagna. So what that does is, there are 249 subs. For him, nakshatras are the key. So you have 12 rasis and there are nakshatras, and each nakshatra is divided into 9 subs, like based on Antardasha Vinchotri. Right. So if you do that math, basically you will see that there are exactly 249 portions if you basically take Rasi, Nakshatra and sub. So he will see, the thing is, it's not, some Rasis border between two, some Nakshatras stretch across 2 Rasis, and if you make the sub, one sub may stretch across 2 Rasis, then you are dividing there. The part of the Rahu sub in Punarvasu, that is Rahu sub in Punarvasu which is in Gemini, and Rahu sub in Punarvasu which is in Cancer, like that basically. So the thing is, when you do all that, when you find the exact arcs for each sub which is in a particular Rasi, you will see exactly 249 of those. So software does it. So you can enter a number there and press that button. The other thing is, these are the 2 common things, 108 and 249. What I added was, this is just my thought, what I added was, just give a number between 1 and 1800. So the thing is, if you take all the short circles, because when you take based on Navamsha and take the middle point, the person is only picking the Anuradha third padam. Basically Libra Navamsha is Scorpio Rashi when he picks 67 number. He is not picking either the beginning or middle or end of that. So depending on that, some higher divisions may change if you are going to use them. So my idea was, if those are valid, if God answers through those, He will answer through complete Nadi also. So Nadi is basically, you take the Rashi, you take the Navamsha, you take the Drekana, you take the Dasamsha, you take all the 16 divisional charts, the short Svarkas, and then you say, you basically take portions where basically if you cross a longitude, if one of the divisional charts is going to change, you say a new Nadi is beginning. Like that, if you divide the zodiac, so each Nadi is basically, it captures all the short Svarkas. If you say the 27th Nadi, it is basically so-and-so Rasi in Rashi chart, so-and-so Rasi in Navamsha, so-and-so Rasi in Drekana, and so on. And you go to the next Nadi, one of the divisions or maybe more have changed. So like that, if you take based on the short Svargas, if you divide the zodiac into non-linear portions, so that in each portion, if a planet is, as long as it is in that portion, its short Svarga positions are fixed. If you do like that, there are exactly 1800 of those. There are actually 150 of those, 150 in each Rashi, times 12, so you get 1800. So you pick a number from 1 to 1800, and then you pick, based on it you fix, okay, he picked 1029, okay, that is in Dhanush, it is basically the 107th Nadi of Dhanush, that maps to so-and-so sign in Rashi, so-and-so sign in Navamsha, so-and-so sign in Drekana, so-and-so sign in Dasamsha, so-and-so sign in Nimshamsha, and so on. So basically we take that particular Nadi, fix the middle point of it. So all the Rashis are fixed in all the divisional charts. So you can look at Dasamsha, you can look at Timshamsha, you can look at all the divisional charts, and just like the natal chart basically, just like you judge the natal chart, you could judge. So we could do that also. Next time if you try, when somebody asks a Prashna, if you ask for a number, you take that number, the P-lag that you see in the chart, take it as Lagna and judge.
That time we don't see the strength of the Lagna, Jupiter aspect.
You take the Praslagna as Lagna now.
No, I mean that time we don't need to consider because Prashna we get an answer or not. Same.
You can still do the same thing. So there are different approaches, like I said, for Prashna.
But using any of this number system, you can see all the Shodesh Vargas as against.
Yeah, you should be able to. You should be able to. But when you use 108, only Rashi and Navamsha are reliable. Others are based on arbitrariness. Basically, whenever you pick so-and-so Navamsha and so-and-so Rashi, all Shodesh Vargas are fixed to one particular set, even though there are several possibilities. Whereas if you use the Nadi Prashna mode, it's basically more all options are possible, are on the table. And when Krishnamurti did the 249 base Krishnamurti Prashna, he basically didn't use divisional charts. He used only Rashi and Navamsha, and the subs, significators, etc. And quite honestly, I'm not really, I don't know Krishnamurti Bhakti that much, and I'm not a big fan of Krishnamurti, but he's supposed to be, in the last 100 years, he's supposed to be the most successful Prashna astrologer. perhaps because of some scientificness in his method, or perhaps because he was a great worshipper of Uchishta Ganapati. There were actually there were occasions when he would make a prashna, when will the bus come? I mean, buses don't come exactly at the time in India like they may in some other countries like Korea or Japan. So he would make a prashna, when will the bus come, or electricity is gone, when will the electricity come back, and he would basically predict up to the minute also sometimes. So he had and he taught some clear rules on how to do it, but he was using this concept of sub, which is a questionable concept, but you never know what is really questionable, what is genuine. It's not taught by any rishis, let us put it that way, as far as we know. But he is one of the most successful prashna astrologers of the last 100 years. So anybody is interested, they can try to follow Krishnamurti Paddhati. And another thing is, like I said the other day, Prashnamarga is an unbelievably authentic source of prashna, because like I said earlier, anybody basically, like I said, prashna is a subjective thing. So for you, depending on your relationship with God, if God wants to answer you, you put your rules, basically also you can get answers. It's basically the fact that there are tens of different approaches using which people are getting answers to their prashnas without any scientific approach, like in the case of natal chart, means that there is something subjective about it and it's more divination rather than science. But the thing is, to have a rule of divination based on your own relationship with God is one thing, and to set some rules so that other people can take them as rules, as a science, and go off with it is a different thing. And I believe that Nambudiri, who authored Prashnamarga, is an elevated soul who has some power to actually set some rules for the world for a few centuries. So there is some power in Prashnamarga. So I strongly recommend, if you want a scientific approach, basically, if you want to have a scientific approach for yourself, Prashnamarga I would recommend. Do study Prashnamarga. It's a very good text, very good treatise. Yeah. You can see Dr. Raman's translation. He gives the Sanskrit verses and then he gives the English translation. It's a pretty good translation. And the fact that it was written not long back, like in the case of Parasara, basically it's a more alive text. In other words, it's not as hidden or as if you take rishis, sometimes they are not direct. There is some indirectness, but this is a relatively modern author, so it's relatively more direct than BPHS. So Dr. Raman's translation is pretty reliable.
What is Dasa compression on the right side? Many not the checkbox.
Yeah.
Compress the
Compress Dasa Prashna chart to following duration. Yes. So if you want to use Dasa, let us say Vimshoti Dasa or something, and you want to predict, then the question is, with a Prashna there is no natural time. If it is a mundane chart like swearing in chart, you have 4 years of compression. If it is a lunar chart, lunar new year chart, you have 1 year, lunar new month, 1 month, like that. For Prashna, what is the time? So the thing is, I just gave the feature. You can say, I expect this Prashna to be valid for 1 year, or 2 years, or 4 years, or 1 month. You can pick your time and you can compress the chart. It's just for research. How do you decide the validity? What many people do is, they actually consider a Prashna to be valid for 1 year. They compress the dashas to 1 year, exactly 1 year, and then they see what will happen during that 1 year. That is what I think a lot of people do. So you can try that. Actually, if you want to try that, let's just look at the Prashna in this lady's chart. Okay. So I am doing 1 year, compress dashas of Prashna chart to the following duration, 1 year plus 0 days. Okay. And then
earlier we saw only for 30 days.
30 days.
right.
You are taking what, 108, 67?
What?
What are you?
That doesn't matter. We'll just look at the basic, because it's not from her. What's the point in me picking a number?
No, I'm just saying, so that when you speak, we'll
I'm picking 67. That will only change P-lug. It will not change the dashas.
Yeah, that's true.
So automatically it will apply as I take the checkbox.
Yeah, when you click the
Yeah.
checkbox.
So from 2009 August, Venus Dasha started and it will end, Ketu Dasha ends on 2010 August 2. So it's basically 1 year, compressed to 1 year now.
Right.
Okay, so what are the Dashas running now? What is the Dasha running right now? Venus. So Venus is Lagna Lord. So right now, assuming that this Dasha compression is accurate, Right now there is some hope for recovery because Venus shows some
Lagna
recovery.
Lord on Rasi?
Yeah, in Rasi.
Oh, you changed it.
Maybe it's a different value. No?
What?
You changed something.
Did you make a new chart or something? I'm still looking at the same chart.
I'm looking at the same chart, but Prashna 108 mode.
Yeah? What is the Lagna you're getting?
You
Vrishika?
pressed 201.
Scorpio?
No, that was here, but I pressed this. I get
We
Scorpio.
are getting Scorpio Lagna.
Okay, maybe you have, go back to the Prashna.
Hmm.
There is above the Dasa compression, there is which Lagna? Just replace Lagna with Dasa Lagna derived from the number chosen.
I did that.
Yeah, if you click that, basically the actual Lagna that is rising at the time of Prashna will be replaced with the Prashna Lagna.
Correct.
So it will just show the Lagna symbol for Prashna Lagna.
Correct.
Whereas if you basically select the other one, leave Lagna as it is and show Prashna Lagna, P Lag as a separate body, then you will see both basically. The only thing is when you are judging the houses etc.,
Okay.
you have to, instead of looking at Lagna, you have to look for the symbol P Lag for Prashna Lagna and then judge. Which is not difficult. So we said that we will not look at the Prashna Lagna, we will just use the actual rising ascendant as the Lagna. So that is why, okay. So Venus is basically the Lagna Lord. So till October 3, there is some hope of recovery, some improvement because he is Lagna Lord, right? And then Sun Dasha. October 3 to October 21, the problems can return. Right? And then Moon Dasha. Moon is okay, but he is not that great either. And then Mars will come. So, and then Rahu, who is afflicting Jupiter. So the thing is, and then Jupiter, he is basically a problematic planet, right? In Rasi as well as in Drakana. So, until March 22, things seem bad. So basically, until October 3, things seem fine. From October 3 till next year, March 22, things are not that favorable. Okay? So that is how you will see the Dasha.
So by looking at this, we can say during each of those places, things we can propitiate correspondingly.
Not necessarily. That will be stretching too much. Propitiation fixed statically based on the basic indication. So Lakshmi and perhaps Hanuman. Okay. So with that we will end this example. All the best to her. Any other comments, or otherwise we will move on to the next example.
We learn new something.
Yeah, how to use Prashna in the software. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I didn't know that's pretty, though it is there, we didn't look at that.
You should explore the software and see what is there and ask me if there is anything that you don't understand.
I have to do QA on it, then we
Huh?
do QA on this. Okay.
Okay.
In the class we were going through
Yeah.
Bhava chart, sir,
Yeah.
and as an exercise we took an example, and
Okay.
and the questions that came across were with respect to the rectification of the chart.
Yeah.
What will we use now? Is it the Rasi that we use for rectification, or how do we go about rectifying the chart? Is what was the primary question of
Right.
just come up?
I will recommend rectify based on the houses because Rasi is just to start with. Bottom line is we are always talking about which house a planet is occupying, which house a planet is owning. So look at the houses occupied by planets, so which is basically Bhava Chakra.
So rectification is based on
Right. Excuse me. Yes, restart the recording. So I'm answering Satish's question, which is when we rectify a chart, should we use the Bhava chart or Rasi chart? Bottom line is, if a planet is actually in the 4th house, even though you may think it's in the 5th house, it will give 4th house results. So that applies to natal chart as well as Tithi Pravesh charts. When you make a Tithi Pravesh chart, a planet that you think is in the 8th house may actually be in the 7th house. So you have to look at, and also depending on the Lagna longitude, the house may change. So you have to pay attention to the houses occupied by planets to do a good job with rectification.
So you are suggesting use the Bhava chart.
Yes. Or just look at the basic Rasi chart, but pay attention to which Bhava a planet is in. Some planets will be in the previous Bhava. Their longitude is lower than Lagna's longitude. Or the reference point's longitude. You may be taking Hora Lagna as reference to see some money issues, or you may be taking Mars as longitude or Jupiter as longitude to see brothers or other things.
Can we take one?
Yeah. What is the data?
May 9th.
1983. May 9, 1983, 1:49:44 p.m.
1:48 p.m. sir.
Okay. Okay.
1:48 1:48 p.m.
1:48 p.m. May 9, 1983, 1:48 p.m. Srikakulam, India, which is 83 degrees 54 minutes east, 18 degrees 18 minutes north. Okay.
What we tried to do was we actually drew Bhava Chakra for D1, D9,
Okay.
D10,
Okay.
D24,
Okay.
D4.
Instead of actually drawing it, what I suggest is just look at the existing Rasi chart and then have it in mind, because you may draw, and if you change the time a little bit, Lagna may change in one of the divisions a little bit more, and one more planet may be pushed to the previous house or the next time. Next house.
For our
Right, I
our
understand.
purposes, we are drawing
Right, and I understand. The thing is, the version you draw, some planet may have to change again. So that's fine. You can hang on to it. I can just look at the chart here, and it's easy to figure out. Okay, so what are the events? Which are the events you are using for rectification?
D4 based events, sir.
Okay.
The first time when I left the home country was back home in 2000.
2000.
In 2001. Actually.
2001 when?
January.
2001 January.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That was the first thing, and secondly, second time I've come here is 2007.
Okay.
So D4 related events.
Okay. So 2001 January, let us see. That is Budha Rahu Antardasa. Right?
Yes, sir.
Mercury Rahu Antardasa. And let's go to let's see the Rashi chart. In the Rashi chart, how are Mercury and Rahu?
Mercury is in the Badhakasthana.
Mercury is in the Badhakasthana, that to 9th house. And he continues to be in the 9th house, even if you take the longitude into account. And Rahu?
Rahu is in the 11th house and the 10th house.
Right. Rahu is in the 11th sign, but he is in the 10th house. Okay.
The involvement of the Badhakas Lord actually says that there will be some kind of a disturbance.
Let us go to the Chaturthamsa now.
D4.
Okay, let's jump to the Chaturthamsa. Now, how are things in Chaturthamsa? One second. Now, the thing is, in the Chaturthamsa, if I take the Lagna longitude, I am getting 28, 22 Aquarius, and Mercury is at 28, 49, and basically very closely, Mercury and Jupiter are also around 28 degrees, and Venus is at 25 degrees. So the thing is, they may be in either house, Mercury and Jupiter. It is possible to adjust their houses. So let us see which one makes sense. Now, based on what we have, Lagna is 28, 22 in Aquarius, and Mercury is in the 12th house. Whereas, if you basically increase the time, Lagna will cross Mercury's longitude, and then Mercury will happen to be at the end of the 11th house rather than in the 12th house. So, if Mercury is in the 11th house, basically going abroad doesn't make sense. So the thing is, it is very likely that the Lagna is not too much above what we are getting right now. It's basically within another half degree or so, the Chaturthams Lagna. So it is either this or before, not really after. So
after 1.5 minutes, if you take that into consideration, if you are pushing the Lagna to the next fourth sign from Aquarius.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah.
One question before that, you are taking the Badhaka as 11th, is it?
For me? No, not Badhaka as 11th. I am not doing any Badhaka. I am saying Mercury is the 5th and 8th lord. If he is in the 11th house, he is not really showing going abroad. Whereas, if he is in the 12th house, he is showing going abroad. So that is all I am saying.
Oh, because of the Mercury Dasa.
Yeah, Mercury Dasa. He went abroad in the Mercury Dasa. But the thing is, why did Rahu Antardasa give it? Rahu is basically in the 4th house. She is Karaka, except that we don't see any indication. Except that Rahu is Karaka, there isn't a major indication.
So the Lagna is fixed to the Aquarius, sir, in this case?
If we fix it. Now let us consider the other one, because it's close to the border, like you said. So let's say, move the birth time, change the birth time to move Lagna to next time. That's what you are doing in Chaturthamsa, right? Okay. Now, how are things? Not, yeah.
He is in the Badhakasthana.
Now, Mercury is in the Badhakasthana, right? Just like in the other case also Mercury Dasha giving foreign residence makes sense.
What happened in your, I think you changed the D4 Lagna to
Next sign, right?
Pisces?
Yeah, next sign. Not Pisces. You go to Taurus.
Taurus.
Yeah, because it's not linear. Okay. Now, still Mercury Dasha giving foreign residence makes sense. Nothing has changed. But Rahu Antardasha, does it make sense? Hmm? No, he's the 10th Lord. No, does it make sense? He's in the second house. Does it make any sense? That this makes more sense or the previous one?
And I've added some more points here to validate that
Okay.
factor. Right now I am running the Ketu Dasa.
Okay.
And evidently I have changed 5 houses already in a period of 2 years.
Okay.
Less than 2 years.
So that suggests
It's giving me some kind
Okay.
of issue with
Okay.
respect to
Very good. So there are other factors which suggest that this is more right. Now, why did Mercury Rahu give it? Does this chart explain it more than Aquarius Lagna? Does Taurus Lagna explain more than Aquarius Lagna? Rahu and Tadisha giving the result. If you look at just Rahu, there isn't any
strong one there.
major indication either way, right?
Except that he is a Karaka.
For me,
Except for the reason that he is a Karaka.
except that he is Karaka, he is aspecting the 9th Lord. There are some factors, but no strong factor. Now, look at the Bhoga. From Mercury, Rahu, where is Rahu? If you look from Mercury, where is Rahu?
6.
He is in the 6th house. And if you look the 6th house from Rahu, where is it?
Libra.
7th, sir.
Scorpio.
It is in Scorpio.
Scorpio.
So Scorpio, the Bhoga would fall in the 10th house in the other case, Aquarius Lagna. Now it falls in the 7th house, which is more likely to give a long journey to a 7th house is more likely. 7th house is one of the Karaka houses, 7th, 9th and 12th. So from that point of view, Mercury Rahu giving foreign residence is explained better by Taurus Lagna. And also, like you are saying, Ketu, you said, already gave you
5 changes in this.
several changes. So Ketu being in the 10th house or 11th house doesn't explain it that much. Whereas Ketu being in the 8th house explains it. So this makes more sense. So there is a forward error in the Lagna. Now, are there any other events that you have to reconcile with?
What is the exact question, sir?
No. Is there anything else you want to do with the chart now?
Is there any other event?
Are there any other events you need to reconcile or done?
In D24 parallelly what we were trying to
Yeah.
do is, because the 4th harmonic is changing, so
Right.
at D24 what I was trying to see is if there is any future education or
Okay, that you can do independently. Yeah, that's
And
not rectification. Yeah,
if D24 changes,
Yeah.
my bachelor education also would show a change.
right.
So does that have an effect, or
Yeah,
that is what I was trying to see.
okay.
And with D24 the Lagna actually changed to Aquarius
Aquarius from Capricorn.
from Capricorn.
Okay.
And here the doubt was whether Capricorn is the perfect Lagna or Aquarius.
Okay.
Capricorn being the Lagna, my 9th house would be lauded by Buddha,
Right.
mechanical engineering.
Okay.
If the Lagna is actually pushed to Aquarius,
Yeah.
the only suggestion that I have is the only thing that I have which combines engineering is the 4th aspect of Puja on the 9th house. So either way we are
One way he is with the 9th Lord, the other way he is aspecting the 9th
9th Lord.
9th Lord, right. Actually, he is aspecting 9th Lord too. One way he is with the 9th Lord, another way he is aspecting 9th and 9th Lord. Mars has a Grahadrishti on the 9th house as well as on the 9th Lord Venus. Right? So either way, and in the other case, he is with the 9th Lord itself. And being with the 9th Lord and aspecting 9th Lord are basically very similar anyway. So either way is fine. So no, either way things seem fine.
But not with Aquarius.
Why? He is aspecting the 9th Lord Venus. Mars is aspecting the 9th Lord Venus. And he is aspecting the 9th house Libra also by a full aspect. So mechanical engineering does make sense either way.
And just a small question, sir.
Yeah.
What we did was taking D9 Karakamsa Lagna as the reference point.
Okay. D9 Karakamsa Lagna. Okay.
Buddha is the Atmakaraka, so I took the longitude of Buddha and then tried to arrange the planets in a Bhava chart with respect to the Atmakaraka. And I was just doing it for.
Okay, let's not go there. Let's just leave it. That doesn't serve. We don't even know exactly what purpose it serves. So, why experiment with it? Any other comments?
I was looking at D4. The Lagna is in Gannanta.
Yeah. D4? No, it's not Gannanta. It's on the border.
It's on the border.
Because we just changed it from Capricorn to Aquarius, so it's on the border.
Just move it to next one.
Yeah. If you move it a little more, if you change the time a little more, it will go into the next. It will basically keep going up. So I think exactly how much you need to change it, you have to see. Now the thing is, suppose you say he came when 2000? You came
January.
2001 January. So if you make 2000 Thithi chart, right? You can make 2000 Thithi chart. 2000 Thithi chart. Did you make it? Hora Lord is Sun, right? The 2000 Thithi chart will be May 1, 2000, 2:45:56 a.m. Hora Lord is Sun. Okay. And the time you got is 2:45:56 a.m. Okay, very good. So, when 2001, when you said?
January, sir.
January when? Before 10 or after 10?
Before 10.
Before 10. So, it was actually Sun Dasa. So, during the Sun Dasa during this year, there was a travel abroad. Does it make sense with the existing charts or do we have to change something? That is the key. That is what we need to answer. Sun is the Hora Lord, by the way. So, Hora Lord. So, important events coming makes sense. Now, first look at the Rashi. In the Rashi, how are things? Where is Sun? What house does he own and where is he? Sun is the 7th Lord in the 3rd house.
He is in 11th house.
Or he is in the 2nd house. But he is basically being the 7th Lord, he can give he has potential to give residence abroad, right? Now, if you see, for me, okay, let's go back to let's go to D4. Keep it up. So D4 longitudes let us put and let us look at Chaturthamsa D4. Now how is Sun?
Sun is in 7. Are you looking at Rasi or?
I am looking at Chaturthamsa.
Chaturthamsa is in 11th.
He is actually in the 11th house. He is in the 12th sign, but he is in the 11th house.
The 13th party when it is 13th Libra 12th house.
Right.
So below 13.
Right. So he is in the 11th house. So does it make sense that Sun would give foreign chance? Not really.
Not in 11th.
Not really, right? But he is the Hora Lord. So if there are strong indications of foreign residence during this year, he can end up giving the result, being the Hora Lord, and that too being the 7th Lord in the Rashi chart. Right? Hora Lord can end up giving the result. So, which planets? Yes?
9th has got Rahu.
Yeah, 9th has? Right. So, 9th house has Rahu. So, 9th house has Rahu, and the 9th Lord Moon, he is, and by the way, Lagna Lord is in the 7th house. Lagna Lord Mars is in the 7th house. And 9th Lord Moon is aspecting Sun. And moreover, 9th Lord Moon is basically in a watery sign. 9th Lord Moon is in a watery sign, 9th house contains Rahu, Lagna Lord is in 7th house. So there is a potential during the year.
The 9th house also has UL.
For me?
9th house.
Yes, 9th house also has UL. Good point. So there is a chance of going abroad during the year. And Sun basically ended up giving the result. So here Sun happened to be Hora Lord, but suppose let us say it wasn't Sun, Rahu Desage. Rahu also you could say he is Karaka, so even if he is not in the 9th house. Let's say a particular planet in the 9th house gave the result. And if you change the Lagna a little bit, he will, let's go let's say he will go to the 8th house. Then you can say it's very unlikely that he's in the 8th house. Given that this Dasa gave the result, this is probably 9th house. So Lagna is not more than this. So like that, based on Tithi Pravesh also sometimes you can come up with restrictions on the time. You can restrict the time a little bit more. But in this case it doesn't help.
But how does this correlate with your rectification in the regular natal chart?
The question was when we had the natal chart with us as well as the Bhava chart, and then we were trying to correlate. The first question we had is, okay, now you have two charts. How do
Yeah.
No, but which one made more sense?
The Bhava chart absolutely. For example, I can quote some example if I'm allowed to.
Okay, you are allowed to.
In the D10, where it was the first time I came here, I got a break in Ketu Dasa, Shukra Antar Dasa.
Okay.
And if you take the Rasi chart for D10, my Shukra would be in the 6th house.
Mm-hmm.
The 3rd, 8th Lord in 6th house.
That would explain.
Giving a break.
Third Lord and 8th Lord being in 6th house, and he giving me a break. The first break, 5th house intervention
Right.
would be there.
Basically, we say that for somebody to actually get a first job, some Pura Punya is needed. So some link with the 5th house, we say, right? Here he is in the 6th house. He is that too in Mankarka Sthana.
No, I was thinking, okay.
Okay.
Break means you can't work
the
from
break.
break.
Not break from work. He's saying a lucky break, getting a job. He's saying. So he got job. With this chart, if you take the Pisces Dasamsa, Venus is in the 6th house in Mankarka Sthana. So his Antardasha, he is saying, gave him first job.
And secondly, if I take the Bhava chart, Shukra moves to the 5th house.
And Ketu is in the 10th house.
Ketu and Kuja are also in the 10th house.
Right.
And Ravi, Shani, Guru basically moved into the 9th house.
Right.
So all that I work,
Combination.
yeah, so my 10th house shows Kuja and Ketu, which are related to software related
Right.
fields.
Yeah.
So it made a lot of
More than Saturn's sun.
more
Right.
times.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So that is.
Good. Yeah. Do.
Are you planning to put an option with a checkbox somewhere to take that timing, or let us
Take the timing. Take what?
take the
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, I'm not sure. See, for my own sake, I just do whatever is convenient for me. But the thing is, before I give it to people, I have to make sure that it's user friendly. People don't get confused. As such, he's like a master. So
that students can play with.
no. They are all governed by if-defs in the code.
Okay.
So basically, if-def PVR build, there is a PVR build defined basically in the main header file. So when that is turned on, all the things. But the thing is, before I give it to everybody, productize, I try to make sure that it is somewhat intuitive. In my case, I can just play. Suppose I want to experiment with something, I can just hard code something and then I can play with it. So the thing is, the interface that I have in mind, which basically I use for myself, is if I have to put a Bhava chart, there is already a Bhava chart right now. But if I want to put a Bhava chart for Dvishyansa, Chaturvimshamsa, like that, it will be messy. So what I want to do is pick the same, and moreover, I am not talking about Bhava chart only from Lagna. You can have Bhava chart from Khati Lagna, from Saturn, from Mercury. So it will be too many charts. So what the interface I have in my version is, you basically click on any planet, like Venus, Lagna, some body, one of the 10 bodies, you click on it, right click on it, and in this menu, that pop-up menu that comes up, there is one that says, use this planet as Bhava, as reference, and show Bhava Chakra from now onwards, until I tell you to shut off. So once you do that with a particular chart, like Rasi or Navamsa, whichever chart you are showing out of the 6 or 2 charts, in that chart, it will basically start showing that as Lagna, that as the reference, and it will show Bhavas. And what it will do is, it will show basically planets which are in the different Rasi in a different color. So it will show a planet may be in that particular color, it may look in Capricorn, but it is actually in Aquarius sign, but in the Bhava shown by Capricorn, like that basically. So some planets being shown in a different color based on the Bhava. And also in the middle of the chart, it will show Bhava from Jew or Bhava from AS, like that, so that you know what you are not confused. You know that you are looking at Bhava Chakra with respect to Lagna or Venus or Moon or something.
And it will be only for that chart, not for
only for that chart. So you could,
that,
yeah. So if you have 6 charts, you can just show Rasi from Lagna, but Navamsa from Jupiter, education from Mercury, Dashamsa from Saturn. Like that, you can show different things.
That is for experimentation to see which one kind of makes more sense.
You may be experimenting with different things. You may be looking from Rahu, for example. You may be looking at houses from Rahu in Vimshamsa or Ketu from Vimshamsa. There are so many things that you could do. So, bottom line is, most of the time you could just hard code it from Lagna. You can say from Lagna, each chart show houses from Lagna. But the thing is, I'm not sure, I had to basically convince myself that this is basically, and of course there is another menu that says just show sign based chart. If you select that, basically it will forget all this and show as usual. So I will release that sometime later. But like I said, it's very easy to do manually. You just have to look at the longitudes, divisional longitudes, then you are all set. And I have actually, like I said, I have not concluded based on just one or two charts. I have actually natal charts, the previous chart. The problem is, reliable data is, you don't have a lot of reliable data, accurate data that you can say this is perfect. And moreover, you don't have, you can basically rectify. And depending on, irrespective of whether you use sign-based charts or house-based charts, you can do some rectification. But the thing is, it's a matter of clarity. See, you are basically blind. Not blind, but you have very poor eyesight. Depending on which eyeglasses you use, you see something. So depending on what I was seeing earlier, when I have some glasses, things seem clear. But when I tried another glass, it seems more clear. So somebody asked on the list, so all that you had such excellent explanations for everything in the past, is that all that nonsense? The thing is, it's not nonsense. It's basically like I was using glasses, but I didn't realize that they weren't perfect for my eyesight. So now I have another glasses which seem more perfect. Even this may not be perfect, I don't know. But the bottom line is, I basically, given that we are not dealing with perfect versus imperfect, we are dealing with imperfect versus imperfect, I had to basically do the best job I could do with rectification using sign-based charts for various charts based on Rasi Tithi. And I had to do the same thing with Bhava-based charts, using Tithi and natal chart, do the best rectification independently. You can't use the same rectification. And then see which one is explaining things better. And it's a subjective relation, there's no objective formula. And then it seems to me like this chart is working better. And then I do the same exercise on many charts, and then I basically draw my conclusion, okay, this is working better. And to make things complex, Tithi definition, so many things are basically up in the air. So much knowledge that I got in the last 10-15 years, it is basically, there is something genuine, there is a genuine core, but there is also a corrupted part of it basically. So because of it, any research becomes very complicated. So this is somewhat subjective, somewhat objective research that was done over a long period of time. It's not just one or two charts. And my final conclusion is, if you actually take bhavas like this, it is more consistent. And like in his case, you experiment with various charts. If it doesn't seem to make sense, maybe there is some rectification that you need to do. But the thing is, it is my conclusion that this is superior. This is more consistent than what we normally do. So, any other points? Otherwise, I'll end the class. If you guys wanted to leave early, it's not actually that early.
He was asking in the beginning of the class today.
Yeah.
The nakshatras, when they are ruled by a planet,
Yeah.
is that consistent? The planet the same? Is the same ruler for all the four padas of that nakshatra, or does it change?
Nakshatra is one. Padas are navamsas. Nakshatra is one nakshatra. So whole nakshatra is ruled by a planet.
So, being when it spans over Rasis is not.
Doesn't matter.
It's still the same.
Doesn't matter. Punosu is ruled by Jupiter. If you are talking about Vimshatri rulership. But the thing is, like I pointed out in my mail on Sohamsa, the rulership, basically Vimshatri is just one of the rulerships. There are so many other Ashtotri, all these. You can say Vimshatri is the main dasha, so this rulership has importance. But the bottom line is, this is a mapping. This nakshatra, then this dasha. This nakshatra maps to this dasha. This is a nakshatra dasha mapping. So the thing is to say that Punosu has some significant relationship with Jupiter, Pushimi has some significant relationship with Saturn, is actually questionable. There is precedent based on modern classics. What I mean by a modern classics is classics written in the last few hundred years, or basically in the what I would call as dark periods of Sanatana Dharma, Veda Dharma and Jyotish also. These were dark periods of Kali Yuga. So it's not really reliable. No Maharishi talked about associated nakshatra, and Parasara only talked about, okay, these nakshatras are associated with these dasas for Vimshatri. In another scheme, it will totally change. So the thing is to say, this is with respect to the Abhishek Nakshatra Lord concept that I was questioning. Abhishek Nakshatra Lord based on Vimshatri being Atmakarka, showing great soul, a high level soul having reincarnated. I was criticizing that principle given in the Nakshatra book. So my take in general is, any important conclusions about the person, personality, his life, his characters, just based on the Vimshatri based Nakshatra Lashya is questionable, because it's not based on sound philosophy. That is point number one. Point number two, in this particular case, like I pointed out today, Abhishek Nakshatra is one of the 20, is based on the 28 Nakshatra scheme, not the 27. And in 28, Abhijit is there, for example, which is partly Uttarashada, partly Shravana. So who owns Abhijit? Parasara didn't say Abhijit is ruled by sun because majority of Abhijit is Uttarashada. He didn't say it. He didn't even talk about Abhijit lordship. Lordships as per Vimshatri are based on 27 stars. So you are talking about Abhishek Nakshatra in the 28 scheme, and you are talking about 27 base lordship. It doesn't fit basically. It's basically illogical. It's not systematic. So all these things are there. Bottom line, nakshatras, you can make a nakshatra chakra, you can look at Vedas, you can look at, there are so many things you can do. There are different kinds of nakshatra chakras. There are different ways to see the influence of planets on nakshatras. But the thing is, to say that this nakshatra is lorded by this planet is questionable. It's ruled by, Punosu is ruled by Aditi, Pushmi is ruled by Jupiter, Asasha is ruled by Sarpa, and they have certain energies. So that can be done. Just like we say the first Dashamsa of so-and-so Rasi is ruled by Indra, like that we can do that. But which planet lords is actually questionable.
Is there a list, sir, that we can have?
List of what?
What nakshatra
Is ruled by which deity?
Which planet? I mean, Kritika, Bharani is as per Vimsatra lordship.
Bharani is Venus, that?
Venus, yes, sir.
Yeah, you should know. You should be by heart. Okay. You can find out. I mean, the list is not there in the software, but you can go to the KP screen.
It is Vimshatri Lordship as it is. Vimshatri.
Yeah. You can go, if you want to know the nakshatra lord of a particular planet based on Vimshatri in this chart, you can basically go to the KP tab under basics, and for each planet basically the nakshatra lord, the sub lord, the prati sub lord, all those will be shown. So you can see the sub lord, nakshatra lord. But the thing is, if you go to the Sartabhadra chakra and look at the Abhishek nakshatra or some nakshatra and want to see who owns it, you are on your own. I mean, you can see from books also. For example, my book should have the Vimshatri. Any book that covers Vimshatri Dasa, you can see the table. The thing is, you should know by now. This is very standard. And the thing is, in the last 100 years, people do use, when they look at the transits, dasas, they do see basically nakshatra lordship to judge results. But the thing is, what I am saying is, this doesn't have a precedent from Rishis. So this may just have been a corruption, because for people, Vimshatri Dasa is the only Dasa. So if Vimshatri Dasa maps a nakshatra to a planet, that must be the general lordship. The thing is, that is just for the purpose of dividing life into periods. It's not really that Punosu has some Abhinabhava Sambandha with Jupiter. Any other questions? So, okay, with that I will end for today. Oh.
Any link with, many people are asking 9909.
Okay. See, his question was September 9, 2009 is 999 date. Is there any significance? Bottom line is, this is arbitrarily human-made division of the time. Why should a year start with January, and why should September have 30 days and October should have 31 days and August should have 31 days? Suppose August had 30 days. What you call as September 9 would have been September 10. September 8. So there are so many arbitrary things. The way this whole year system evolved, this is totally arbitrary. Whereas if you take the Indian system, basically, you say whether you take solar or lunar, nakshatra based or tithi based, whichever you take, there is some structure, there is some logic. This particular year, this particular scheme has a lot of arbitrariness in it. So it means nothing. If you ask me, based on this scheme, there is nothing, no significance of 999 or 10, 10, 10 or whatever. Or 11, 11, 11.
They were thinking, oh, world will have some problem.
Okay. If there is a problem, it will be because of something else, but not because 12, 12, 12 came. Actually, that the planetary transits in December around before Christmas time, basically, not at 12, 12, 12, but a little later, there are interesting planetary combinations. So that year does seem indeed interesting, but it may not be because of 12, 12, 12. Okay, so we'll end the class today. Om Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu sarve dharmika jana sukhino bhavantu यावद् भूमंडले सनातन धर्मो वर्धतु विशेषतः भरतखंडे ओम शांति शांति शांति।